Hi, I'm Vivian Lee Croft from Write Pittsburgh. We've missed our weekly workshop space at Alphabet City and City of Asylum and all of our friends there. It's so nice to see you tonight. We're excited to co-host tonight's event with Storyburgh. And to all the storytellers, we hear you. Write Pittsburgh shifted all our teen programs online in March. We launched our first ever summer camp, a series of 10 camps of writing, art, and social justice. And we're planning fall programs now, including a comic and zine workshop series. You can find more at writepittsburgh.com.
Hi, I'm Elise Horn-Pyatt, the managing editor of Storyburgh. And first I wanted to say thanks, Vivian, to you and Write Pittsburgh for your partnership on this event. At Storyburgh, we thrive on collaboration. Just this year alone, we've partnered with Public Source for a Storyburgh Live event, and we've also collaborated with New Sun Rising and Oakland Planning Development Corporation for their annual fundraisers. We're really looking forward to creating more partnerships with organizations and communities to help you share your stories. For this event, Teens Have Voices Too, we got the idea because we wanted to give adults an opportunity to write a letter to their younger selves and for teens to share their aspirations with their future selves. I wanted to say thanks to the storytellers, Bella, Emma, Amelie, Charlie, Cralajé, and Dani, as well as to Angela, the musical guest. Thanks to our story coaches, Pam Monk and Meg St. Esprit. Thank you to the grant funders, One Northside and New Sun Rising, and a special thanks to City of Asylum for their partnership and hosting this event. As a reminder, there will be a Q&A discussion after the stories and the music have concluded.
Emma Lombardozzi is a 9th grader at Shayla Area High School. She loves to be involved in theater at school, and Emma also loves to bake. She has thoroughly enjoyed the summer, even with all the new safety requirements. We're really excited that you're here, Emma.
Dear me, remember in 7th grade, I'd go up to Mr. Jeremiah's desk every day just to make sure I had a good enough grade to take French? Well, one morning in 8th grade, my French teacher wanted to see what classes I chose. She told us, what would Mr. Jeremiah say if he saw you weren't going to take honors English and push yourself? That idea glued itself to my mind during science class, and I kept thinking, what if I did try an honors class? I met with Mr. Heller before ELA that day because he wanted to meet with all of the students who wanted to try honors. And he told me, Emma, your grades during this unit have dropped. If you want to be in honors, you have to have at least a 99% in the fourth 9 weeks. I felt confident that I could get a 99%. He also told me, I want to see a 110% effort from you because I also have to write a letter of recommendation. I nodded in agreement, and not too much longer, COVID-19 caused the school to shut down. And then not longer after that, I had to start learning from home. I gave the same effort I would have given in all of my classes if I was still going to school every day, and making sure to give a little bit more effort in English. On Friday, May 22nd, I was watching a movie with my mom and my phone buzzed. I opened my phone and saw it was an email, and my English teacher left a comment on my work for the day. This was common for Mr. Heller to leave a comment on our works, but I checked it anyway. I had to read the comment twice because I didn't believe what it said. The comment roughly said, you've been working hard this whole time. Even though I wasn't able to give out grades, I'm going to contact the high school guidance counselors about getting you honors ELA. A few days later, I got another email from him saying that I did get into honors. So, something I want you to remember is that anything you want to achieve, as long as you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Werber, and I'm the Garfield co-facilitator for Girls Write. I'm pleased to introduce Dani Janae for this event. Dani Janae is a poet living and writing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She earned her bachelor's in creative writing from Allegheny College and returned home to Pittsburgh after graduating. Her poetry deals with the physical and emotional legacy of trauma and the intersecting history of her identity as a Black lesbian woman through the themes of the grotesque, incantations, and folklore. Her work has been published by Argot Magazine, Public Source, Palette Poetry, and Slush Pile Magazine. She is a contributing writer at Autostraddle.
The year was 2004. You were 12 and waiting with bated breath to turn 13 and be a real teenager. When you weren't writing sad poetry about your crushes and the life you wish you were living, you were listening to Avril Lavigne and watching TV shows, admiring the teens you saw going through adult things. When you weren't doing that, you were sneaking downstairs late nights to watch adult television. You loved those small moments alone in what was otherwise a hectic house. One day, as you were flipping through the channels, you stopped at something that you'd never seen before and that caught your breath in your throat. Two women were on TV, sitting on a love seat, kissing. Not only kissing, they were having sex. You had seen sex scenes before in movies and on television, but never anything like that before. You felt scandalized and intrigued all at once. This show, you would later come to find out, was called the L Word, and the L Word stood for lesbian, a word you thought stood for radical women that hated men and dared to love women instead. Your picture of what a lesbian was had been incredibly biased by media that showed lesbians as pining and predatory. You didn't want to be one of those women, but you feared you were, and had for many years. Seeing this particular scene on this particular show was just a sign that everything you feared was true. Your best friend, Kate, had already come out to you as bisexual at the time. You were still in middle school and struggling to find a community that you felt you fit into. And you had been struggling for years to not appear gay to your friends and family. Back in 2004, people were still saying "that's so gay" as an insult and using homophobic slurs in casual conversation. To be out and gay then was a scary thing, but something told you to come out anyway. Despite your own internal bias and fears, you knew something about you was different and needed to be addressed. You were brave and decided it was time to tell someone the truth, namely your mom. She, unfortunately, did not react very well. She told you not to tell your dad, that was the first thing she said, and that you were just following a trend, that it wasn't real and that your feelings were just a part of something that teenage girls go through. Every year after that, she would check in with you to see if you were still having feelings for girls, and the answer was always a resounding yes. When you got to high school, things changed. You even went on your first date with a girl. Her name was Ashton, and you met her through your friend, Keviera. It was a horrible date, and she spent the entire time on her phone, texting someone else. But at least you had the freedom to date a girl because you had taken a risk and come out. Your family at the time was not accepting, so it felt good to have friends around you who knew who you were and loved you despite. In college and beyond, you began to understand the importance of what we call chosen family. The people in your life, friends and partners, and even some family members who have become your center and safe haven. They are the people you come to when you are troubled, scared, and confused, when you need life advice or just a shoulder to cry on. Now your life is filled with the sense of security you were searching for. You still talk to some of your brothers and are a godmom now. You are living your dream as a writer for a cool gay media outlet. You even have fallen in love once in your life. And though it ended badly, it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't taken the risk in telling your mom those fateful words that day. This life is your reward, and I owe you so much of my happiness today, and your bravery is part of why I am where I am today. And I want to thank you for being true to yourself and living for me.
Charlie LeFever is a queer writer living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Their work, best described as creative nonfiction with a surrealist twist, is featured in Pretty Owl Poetry magazine and forthcoming in the Arlington Literary Journal. Their debut collection, entitled Find Me When You Come Back, will be released this fall. Charlie enjoys writing by hand in the company of their 2 cats and many houseplants.
Hi, my name is Charlie. I live in Pittsburgh and am a working artist and writer. And my pronouns are they, them. And this is my story about my fear of snakes. I love to ask questions. I always have. I was the kind of 6th grader that actually paid attention in class, actually did their homework and turned it in proudly, actually studied for exams in the hopes of getting an A. Outside of school, one of my favorite activities was going over to my friend Lisa's house and watching movies. The Goonies was our movie of choice, and we would watch it on repeat, endlessly hypothesizing about how there could possibly be a whole ship still intact way underground like that. Now that I'm older and no longer in school, I focus a lot of my learning and curiosity on myself. I love to think about my own tendencies, where they come from and how they formed. Recently, I've been fascinated with fears and why I harbor certain fears and not others. My biggest fear, believe it or not, is balloons. That particular fear I've tracked from a past life, and it still, for reasons I can't explain, has a certain hold over my present life. My second biggest fear is snakes. That fear comes from this life, and up until recently, I didn't give it much thought to its origin. Particularly when compared with balloons, snakes are a pretty rational fear. I never got an odd reaction when I said I was afraid of snakes, until about 2 years ago, when I was working on a farm in Washington State. I was going about my farm business when I lifted up a tarp and saw, scurrying away from me, a small greenish gray gardener snake. My shriek brought my fellow farm intern running, only to have her laughing at me a couple seconds later. "I hate snakes," I protested. She laughed, and she continued to laugh and pointed out that the snake I just saw was hardly bigger than my hand. She looked at me and said, "I've seen you calmly brush spiders off of your shoulder and gently catch mice to put outside. What is it about snakes?" I paused and then shrugged. What was it about snakes? Later that night, as I harvested some green beans for my dinner, a memory resurfaced. I was in the 6th grade again, over at Lisa's house for a sleepover. The Goonies played in the background as we sat and chatted on the couch. She had told me a couple minutes earlier that her older brother Adam was home tonight. He wasn't usually around. We both preferred it that way. As if on cue, Adam walked into the living room, followed by his friend. Lisa and I didn't speak, now absorbed in the movie we had seen a dozen times. Adam sighed loudly and sat down next to me. I leaned away from him toward Lisa. "Why do you two like this movie so much?" Adam said. "There isn't one person in this movie that's hot enough to keep my attention." "Then leave," Lisa said. Adam stood up then, gesturing to his friend, and they both walked out of the room. Lisa and I glanced at each other, relieved. But the relief was short-lived, as Adam and his friend came back into the living room only a couple minutes later. This time, Adam had his pet snake wrapped around his hand. First, he went up to Lisa, pushing the snake into her face. "Kiss him," Adam taunted. Lisa, without so much of a grimace, leaned her head to the side and continued to watch the movie. After failing to get a reaction out of her, Adam turned his attention to me. I wasn't as well practiced as Lisa was. "Stop," I said, as Adam shoved the snake into my face. I raised my hands in an attempt to create a barrier between me and Adam. "Just touch him," Adam said, moving the snake around to get it past my hands. "Come on, stop being such a wimp." "Stop," I said again. this time curled into myself, as far back in the couch cushions as possible. Again, my words fell on deaf ears. I curled tighter into myself, resigned to staying quiet and waiting for Adam to leave. Finally, he did, taking his snake and his friend with him. After they left, I didn't look at Lisa, didn't move much from my curled position. I stared blankly at the TV as a deep fear of snakes formed in my subconscious. Charlie, you were right to be afraid in that situation. Nothing about your reaction indicates weakness. Having anything, particularly a live animal, shoved at you is an obvious breach of personal space, and a simple stop should have made him stop. It is rational and even important to have a healthy fear of people who do not listen when you say things, especially when it involves the words no and stop. I understand why your fear stuck to the snake. It was the most present danger, the thing you saw coming at you. It was what you worried might hurt you, squeeze you, or bite you. But this is a great time to do what we do best. Ask questions. What was the snake doing in this situation? It was resting passively on Adam's hand, and from my memory, also looked as though it was just waiting for the situation to be over. It didn't hiss or lunge or do anything besides try not to fall out of Adam's hand. So let's look beyond the snake. Who was doing the action? Who was eliciting your fear? I'm so glad my fear of snakes was finally challenged, because now I know that in fact I am not afraid of snakes, but rather of the boys who hold them, who push them in my face, who do not listen when I say stop. I'm afraid of the boys who taunt and terrify for amusement, who laugh as I bury myself into the couch to get away. I'm afraid of the boys who get into my psyche by using words like wimp, when in fact, I am not a wimp. Because wimps do not ask questions, especially not about things that scare them. And you do ask questions. You have the strength to ask all of the questions, even about the things that scare you.
I had to think about my old friends. Now I no longer hate them, and I can't wait to be home again. I had a year that nearly sent me off the edge. Feel like a 5, I can't pretend. Get myself together this year, maybe I'll be a 10. Help myself a little better, 'cause it's getting tiring. I can't wait for the summer. I'm gonna need more men. I did it again, I did it again. No control over my emotions. 1 year on and I still can't focus. I did it again, I did it again. 12 rounds and 5 solos, so nobody wins when it ends. We'll be placing memories in frames, inviting people around to stay, and always owning up to things. 'Cause after all, I guess it all depends upon people you choose and where you're from. It's outrageous, I won't complain. Give myself a little credit, 'cause it's getting tiring. Turn superhero, I'm coming in Bruce Wayne. I did it again, I did it again. just a mirror. You check your complexion to find your reflections all alone. I had to go. Can't you hear me? I'm not coming home. Do you understand? I've changed my plan, 'cause I'm in love with my future. Can't wait to meet her. And I'm in love, but not with anybody else. Just wanna get to know myself. I know supposedly I'm lonely now. I'm supposed to be unhappy without someone, but I'm not someone. I like to be your answer, 'cause you're so handsome. But I know better than to drive you home, 'cause you didn't invite me in. I'd be yours again, but I'm in love with my future. You don't know her, and I'm in love, not with anybody here. I'll see you in a couple years. I'm just a girl with a guitar, trying to give you my whole heart. If there's anybody out there listening to me, all I have is a story and a dream. So here I am. This is all I can be. I know I forget to breathe sometimes, and I'm so afraid to fall behind. Why do I let the pressure take over my mind, when I know the truth is never wrong? I'm alright. This is right where I belong.
Hi, my name's Sarah Shotland. I'm the program director of Words Without Walls, and I know Cralajé in her time as a student in the program. Cralajé is 30 years old and has lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania her entire life. Today, her world is peaceful, structured, and full of fulfillment, but it wasn't always like that. Seeing the darker side of life has allowed Cralajé to appreciate the moments some people take for granted and realize just how much of a blessing it is that she's still here. She has 3 beautiful children and a husband she adores. Writing is her passion and helps her fulfill her purpose of letting others know that there's hope, anything is possible, and it is never too late to turn your life around.
Jones, get up. Leaving in 45 minutes. I'm not going, I groaned. As much as I knew I'd probably be hurting later, I was done with it. I couldn't go back to the streets the same way I did last time, straight setup, and I was done setting myself up. I rolled over on the hard-ass metal slab that I'd somehow become comfortable with and studied the cinder block walls that surrounded me. I can't say I was deep in thought because my cellie was snoring loudly, and it was still damn near pitch dark outside. They like to wake you up at the ass crack of dawn and shuffle you around from cell to cell until they finally took you to whatever appointment it was you had 4 to 5 hours later. Didn't matter. It was an appointment I wasn't going to make. I drifted back off. Jones, let's go. Stop playing around. No. Jones, you know stopping cold turkey is a risk to the baby. This time I said nothing. Neither did they. The voice on the other side of the speaker went silent, and then panic set in. What the fuck was I thinking? I didn't care about the baby. I wasn't keeping it anyway. But I was going to be so incredibly dope sick. Who walks off methadone down the county jail when they don't have to? My dumbass. One side of me wanted so badly to be clean and have an actual chance at life, and the other side didn't care about any of that. I just didn't want to be dope sick. Forget all that chance at life bullshit. I was convinced withdrawal might kill me. Oh, the baby. I'm sure you're curious about the baby. Surprise! I'm pregnant. You probably think me a horrible person. If you only knew. And I mean, I am a horrible person. Of that I'm aware. But this decision I was making was the most rational and selfless one I'd made in a long time. What did I look like bringing a new baby into this world when I already didn't have custody of the first 2? The state actually found me an unfit mother. Imagine that. Anyways, the day goes on whether you want to participate in it or not. And soon enough, the locks pop for breakfast, if you can even call it that. Some sloopy white stuff I think is supposed to be oatmeal and a cardboard chunk of bread. I don't eat. I prefer food. I'm called again, this time from the CO's desk. I waddle over, annoyed because I already told them I'm not going, excited because I may get more methadone, and scared because I may get more methadone. I get there, and before he even speaks, I grunt that I'm not going, and I already told the last CO that. His response? Take it up with the captain then, because they want to see you downstairs. I'm curious, so I go. It's usually an eternity spent in holding, but this time the guards come for me fast. I tell them I'm not going to the methadone clinic, and they tell me they know. I'm going to the abortion clinic. Wait, what? Today? Right now? All the defiance, annoyance, anger, and attitude drained from my body. I feel like I weigh a ton and like someone dumped sand in my mouth. I can't talk. I can't breathe. I just sat there with this dumb look on my face. I mean, this was an appointment I'd requested. I just had no idea when it was scheduled and that it was going to fall on today of all days. They shuffle me along out a few steel doors and into the back of the sheriff's van. I'm so overwhelmed with emotion and I just can't figure out why. I was so sure I wasn't keeping this baby. Except now I'm not sure of anything. How could I not be sure or question if getting rid of it was the right thing to do? I couldn't even take care of myself. The sheriffs in the front talked and laughed like I wasn't even there, while I fell apart in the back seat. I didn't know what to do. Today, 9/18/18, was the day I got off methadone, my clean date. It was also the day I was supposed to kill my baby. I didn't want those dates to be one and the same, but I still wasn't sure. So I prayed. I prayed and I asked for a sign, any sign, and shed what felt like a million tears. And then a song came on the radio, and I hadn't even realized the radio was on. We belong together, Mariah Carey sang. I knew in that moment, without a shadow of a doubt, that God had plans for me, and that those plans included this little life I had growing inside of me. As crazy as my world had become, and as much as everyone would think I was out of my mind for keeping this baby, I knew that it would be okay. At least, that's what I think that gut feeling was telling me. That little whisper of faith that kept demanding I keep this baby. Please don't let me fuck this up. I know you're scared. And I know that even though you've made up your mind and feel like you're doing the right thing, you're still not sure how it will play out. What if I told you I just tucked Kalea in? She's 1.5. She's beautiful, smart, and just the sweetest little girl I've ever seen. Her blonde curls perfectly frame her face, and her giggle is more like a belly laugh. She has so much personality and is so much a part of me, I can't imagine my life without her. Right after I tucked Lay in, I kissed Cassius on his forehead and gave him his bear. They share a room. One mixed match with blues and pinks, way too many stuffed animals, and as many toys as one could imagine. Kalodro's right down the hall in his own room, trying to think of any way to get out of his bedtime, including the classic, I'm thirsty, and please, Mom, just one more hug. Once everyone's tucked in safe and sound, I lay down in my bed, with almost 2 years clean, and cozy up to my husband. I smell the fabric softener and wrap myself up in my comforter. Let me start over. Once everyone's tucked in safe and sound, I lay down in my bed with almost 2 years clean and cozy up to my husband. I smell the fabric softener and wrap myself up in the comforter. It feels like a cloud. Nothing like the metal slab I was once so accustomed to. I realized that in that moment that I was so scared and so unsure back then, I was so blessed. Blessed to be still enough to see the signs, broken enough to listen. So that gut feeling, that small whisper of faith, is God telling you his plans are bigger. Trust him. Me and Kalea are so glad I did.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Seifer, and I'm one of the facilitators for Rainbow Writers, which is a program for LGBTQIA+ identified teens with Write Pittsburgh. Today, I'm going to be introducing Amelie, who is one of my students. I know Amelie through Rainbow Writers, but personally, our group likes to refer to it as Reaper Writers because we love to write about horror, fantasy, and all kinds of fantastical poetry. Personally, I love Amelie's writing. I feel that their writing is extremely imaginative with surprising twists, and I'm excited that you all will get to experience their writing today. Amelie, they, them, loves a lot of things, such as writing, drawing, music, and anything art. They are going into 7th grade at Colfax after an extended summer at home in Pittsburgh. Their preferred genres are horror, fantasy, and any kind of poetry. Please welcome Amelie.
This is a letter to my future self. A letter saying that there is no one way of seeing the world. A letter saying who I am at this moment. A letter saying how I make sense of the world. Dear future me and listeners, enjoy this letter. I'm sure that most people listening or reading this have used some sort of social media. If so, then you might get a lot of information constantly. How do I, as a Gen Zer, take in, understand, process, and remember this information? Let's start with my news sources. Instagram, other people, Quora, Reddit, YouTube, and books/the internet. Most of these aren't very reliable as sources, but as you can notice, there aren't any newspapers in the list. While I don't read newspapers, I do have sources that I trust, but that is a topic for another day. To begin, how do I describe things? I'm following something on Quora called Freakier the Better. And mostly it's cool, gross, and dark. Every now and then a conspiracy theorist's answer will come up. It's fascinating to read because it offers a look into how other people with those beliefs think. But I'll describe it immediately for many reasons. A few are extravagant claims, it isn't provable, and it doesn't follow the scientific process in developing a theory. Furthermore, how do I know what's true? How do I know that something is true? The magical technique, cross-referencing. If I hear something, example, a family member or a classmate, say something, and I read it out loud, and I read it somewhere else. It's either trustworthy information or something that I missed out on. The things I find out from other people are about politics, something I never read about, and politics is tricky. Next, my favorite thing in the world, common sense. Strangely, a large number of people are lacking this simple component of common sense. The one good thing about this pandemic is that it's uprooted most of the conspiracists, among others. For example, if someone claims 5G towers cause COVID, which they have claimed, I doubt most would believe that. It doesn't make sense. A cellular network has nothing to do with the virus. Finally, how do I know that something is correct or real with past knowledge? I use past knowledge to make sense of other information. An example is that I have some technical knowledge on forensics and entomology. This means A, I can spit out random facts, and B, I can make sense of some technical terms and of reports on those topics. That's an example of how I make sense of new information. Another example is that if I know the nature of a certain person, such as politicians, or famous people, then I would have no reason to disbelieve something that I hear they did, if it is in their nature. My thought process is unique to me as yours is to you, and I wanted to share it today. I would like to thank you for listening to me and spending your time here. It's okay to take a break, and it's okay to ask for silence. Make your mark on the world and make sure to look back. If you change, then the mark you leave will be a reminder. Be kind to others and most importantly, yourself. This is my letter to myself in the future. From Amelie.
I'm Denitra Gideon, Director of Programs at Write Pittsburgh. I had the opportunity to work with Bella over the summer during our virtual summer camp. She creates art that is bright, lively, and joyful, while also reflecting her strong sense of social consciousness. Bella is a sophomore at Kennett High School. She has a black cat named Midnight and enjoys reading, running track, and sewing. Bella loves to write and says she could not live without it.
Questions for my older self. What does the future hold? What does it have in store for us? Will there be flying cars or levitating houses? The future seems far, but yet so close. The future seems fun and modern, but also crazy and innovative. Did the pandemic affect us in a bad way? Did I ever go back to a normal school? Is everything back to normal? Do we still have to wear masks? I wonder this because it has been a different summer than usual. Waking up in the middle of the day and just watching TV. Instead of hanging with friends, I linger around the house and try to find stuff to do. It's hard to stay focused when I basically control what I do. Almost all the schoolwork I do was not actually graded, so what does that say about grades? Do we need them? Are they non-essential? If they do not matter now, why should they matter when we go back? If we returned, was school the same? Did we just pick up where we left off and act as nothing happened? If there were new rules, did everyone cooperate? On the day before school was out, we hoped and prayed for a 2-week break. Instead, we got over 2 months. Was school ever normal? This pandemic helped me realize how odd school actually was. Waking up every day at 6 a.m., doing hours of homework, sleeping, and then waking up the next day and doing it all over again. Normal, normal, normal. That's all I want. But masks are the new normal, and online school, and going to the grocery store or the mall is a huge event. All in all, quarantine was great and more, but I'm ready for normal. Is that so hard to ask for? I can't wait to read this as an adult and look back on what life was like.
Silence and guns were cutting like knives in a fist fight. I found you with the bottle of wine, your head in the curtains, and a heart like the 4th of July. You swore and said we are not really shining stars. 'Cause I know, 'cause I never said we are. No, I've never been to hell like that. I've closed enough windows to know you can never look back. If you're lost and alone, but you're sinking like a stone, carry on. May your past be the happens at the end